Today's Namaste Yoga continues our Inner Critic series with discernment. Hello and welcome to episode 281 of Namaste Yoga. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really happy you could be with us. We are starting to wind down our Inner Critic series, and it's just been so great to read all your comments, especially on the membership site. The comments there have been incredible. We've been having this amazing dialogue there. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What would you like to do in Namaste Yoga next? Because we're always listening to you and we want to create content that you would really love. So leave your comments below and let us know what you'd like to see in the next series. Thank you to Squeeze Yoga Clothing for my clothes. Today I'm wearing a long sleeve bamboo dancing Ganesh top and a long red leggings. And also thank you to Dusky Leaf for my props. Today I am going to be using blocks and a strap, and I should have brought my bolster and I forgot it. But if you have a bolster, get that out because we're going to be using it today, and we're going to pretend that I have my imaginary bolster with me. I have a review from iTunes today, and thank you to everybody who leaves your 5-star ratings and reviews on iTunes. We appreciate that so much. So Counselor is the username from the USA, our neighbors to the south, in March of 2015 said, "Such a generous and well thought out program. Worth the time, much more than other yoga programs. Her content makes daily learning enjoyable and exciting. Nice vocals and background noise." And I really have to give Tim credit here because he takes the time to adjust the sound afterwards, post-production. And also I want to thank all of you, our viewers, who made all your donations. That was maybe almost 2 years ago when we purchased our mic packs together. So thank you all of you who made that possible, because that's why the vocals sound so nice compared to so many other channels, because we have that expensive mic pack that you bought us. And the most important part of sharing wisdom, she says the nice vocals and background noise, which is not the most important, but a nice part of sharing wisdom. She says it's a nice touch. And also the background, we commissioned a local composer here in British Columbia. His name is Thomas, and he actually goes out into the forest and he records sounds of birds and all that. And it's really, he makes beautiful music for us. He just created a jingle for us for our blog post too. And we're actually probably going to be commissioning him to create another piece fairly soon, because we've had that piece of music for a little while now. Probably you're getting a little tired of it. I know I do my own videos too, because I like to go back and see how they are. And also, like, for example, last night in our home, we're all fighting colds. So if I'm sniffing today in today's show, that's why we've all got a little bit of cold. And Trinity and I last night, my daughter and I, we went and we did the Yoga for Recuperation series on the membership site. So that's a series that I put together for when you're sick, because that was a huge request that people had. So we did the yoga for tonsils and thymus, and we did the yoga for the lymphatic system, which helps to really boost your immune system when you're sick. And they're very gentle for when you're sick. And so we actually, it was such mother-daughter time. We only have one yoga mat in our home. Can you believe that? So she laid out the Mexican blanket beside me in this little hallway. We were like like little sardines beside each other doing yoga. Tim came in after taking photographs last night and he looked at us like, what are you two doing? We were like holding hands, doing our sniffing our little colds, doing the yoga for recuperation on the membership site. So yeah, I listen to my own videos and I'm actually getting a little tired of my music. So I'm like, we need to commission Thomas to do another piece. But I'm a little more sensitive to that because I have a couple of degrees in music too, so I think I get a little more sensitive to that than most. So anyway, I want to thank, I'm getting sidetracked. I want to thank you all so much for your iTunes reviews. They really make a huge difference to us. They help other people just like you find us. And you can leave, if you watch on iTunes, you can leave us a review. And we're going to leave instructions on how to do that at melissawest.com/iTunes. And you guys all know how easy Tim makes techie stuff for you. Any of you who have interacted with Tim know how easy he makes stuff, and he's going to make that so simple for you. It's going to be easier than tying your shoes or riding a bike. You know he's going to do that for you. So melissawest.com/iTunes. Okay, so today's class is about discernment. You can go ahead and rest back, lie down on your back if you're not already there after that diatribe. It wasn't diatribe, it's good stuff. Okay, you lie on your back. And get comfortable, tuck your shoulder blades under, turn your palms up towards the ceiling. Maybe bend your knees, press into your feet, lengthen out through your tailbone. And if you have any low back problems, you might want to place your bolster underneath your knees, or you can bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor. Otherwise, lengthen your legs out long. Take a deep breath in through your nose and let it fall out of your mouth. So discernment is about noticing the subtle layers of your inner critic and the choice to go deeper. I've just been so impressed with how deep our members are going with this series. It's just been amazing to witness their journey. With discernment, we explore the layers of our inner critics until they reveal themselves, because there's always something more that will reveal itself. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. And I heard the most amazing, I've always heard that metaphor before, but recently I heard it described better. Like when you get to the innermost layers of the onion, the layers are more transparent, so you can see more easily. So the more layers you peel through, the more easily you're able to see, the more transparent it becomes. So first you notice your inner critic, and then you notice more. At first you may notice that your inner critic isn't very kind, but then over time you start to discern and you start to have some detachment that you are not your inner critic. So you detach. In today's class you will ask yourself questions like, can I discern the difference between me and my inner critic? Can I notice the layers unfolding in this awareness? And in this class, you're going to tell yourself more about what you are noticing. So take a deep breath in through your nose and let it fall out of your mouth. And tune into your physical body. Notice what's happening now in your physical body. And then tell yourself more about what's happening in your physical body. Go deeper and peel back more layers. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Let it fall out of your mouth. And tune into your breath. Start to become aware of what's happening with your breath. And then tell yourself more about what's happening with your breath. And take a deep breath in through your nose. And let it fall out of your mouth. And tune into your emotions. Notice what emotions are on the surface. And then start to notice what emotions are percolating underneath. And take a deep breath in. And then begin rolling your head from side to side. As you roll your head to the side, breathe out. Breathe in and bring your head to the center. Breathe out, roll your head to the other side. And as you roll your head from side to side, notice what's happening now in your physical body, with your breath, any thoughts or emotions that might be coming up. And then ask yourself to go deeper. Tell yourself more. If you noticed your physical experience, tune in deeper to your breath. Maybe notice what thoughts are present. Maybe notice what emotions are present. And then inhale and take both your arms overhead. And you're going to side bend to the left. So you're getting a stretch on the right side of your body. So both your arms will go all the way overhead and rest on the ground unless you have frozen shoulder on your left side too. And I can actually fill the space there, but now ask yourself to go deeper in some way, whether that be physically or dropping into your breath more deeply, noticing your thoughts or what emotions are present. And then come back to the center. And keeping your arms overhead, you're going to side bend to the other side. And on this side, see if you can discern the subtle qualities of difference on this side. And then come on back to center. And you can bend your knees, roll to your side, and come up onto all fours. So you may have noticed I changed. I changed off camera because I had my layers on in an interesting way that wouldn't allow me to change on camera. It's really lovely here. It's very warm today. So we're going to come into Pigeon, Ikpad Rajkapatasana, and I will give you some options for this too. So let me get you into the pose first, and then I'll give some options. So you're going to slide your right knee forward to your right wrist, bring your right heel over to your left hip bone, slide your left leg back and long, and then fold forward over your bent right leg. This isn't going to work for everybody for your right knee in particular. So one option is to bring your right heel closer to underneath your right leg. So that's one option. This can still be too much pressure on your right knee. Another option is to bend both legs and then fold over your right leg. That can still be too much pressure for some people on their right knee. A good option is to go back to lying on your back, cross your right knee over your left ankle, and draw your leg in that way. You may need a strap through your leg to hold on here, or you can hold on like that. Okay, from this position, ask yourself what your inner critic is telling you about your experience, and it may even be telling you something about what option you've chosen or not chosen. And then you can switch sides and we'll go to the other side. So slide your left knee forward, bring your left heel over to your right sit bone, reach your right leg back and long, and then fold forward over your bent left leg. And again, all those different options with your left heel under your left hip bone, or both legs bent and folding forward over your bent left leg, or lying on your back with your left leg crossed over your right leg and bringing your right knee into your chest, figure four pose. So to what extent are you able to tell yourself more about what your inner critic is telling you? And then go ahead and release this posture from your body and find your way to a comfortable seated position. You could sit elevated with your hips elevated on a meditation cushion, or you could kneel on a block or sit in a chair, whatever works best for you today. We're going to do a mudra today for your sacral chakra. It's called the sacral chakra mudra, and it requires a lot of flexibility in your hands. So we'll just do a little bit of hand yoga first. Okay, so let's just start by rubbing your hands together. And actually, if our members could go and do the connective tissue class with the soft squash ball now, that would be awesome, because it would really prepare you well for this. And it only takes a few minutes to do that. You probably actually have that sequence memorized now, and it would really just prepare the fascia in your hands to be able to do this mudra. And because we spend so much time on cell phones and computers and iPads and the mouse on our computer, it just makes our hands really cramped, and there's not much flexibility in our fingers. So this will open up kind of the proprioceptive channels in our hands, and then we'll just do a little bit of pulling each finger back on the hand, on each hand. Okay, so let's build this mudra. Actually, just squeeze all your fingers together and then reach them out wide. Squeeze them really tight and reach them wide. Squeeze them really tight and reach them wide. Okay, you're going to cross your middle finger over the top of your index finger. And then you're going to interlace your ring finger and your little finger so they curl in. This is quite a complex one, I apologize, but it's cool. You're going to touch the tips of your index fingers together, and then you're going to bring your thumb tips to the tips of your middle fingers, and then you press the heels of your hands together. Okay, so you're going to cross your middle finger over your index finger. Then you're going to interlace your ring finger and your little finger, so they're going to end up pointing in towards your palms. Then you're going to bring your pointer fingers together, and then you're going to touch your thumbs to your pointer fingers, your first fingers. And then all of this is going to rest in your lap, like right down at your sacral chakra. So resting this right in front of your pubic bone, lengthen up your spine, relax your shoulders, your chest, and your belly. Place the tip of your tongue against your upper palate. Soften the inside of your mouth and close your eyes. So I chose this mudra not just to hurt your hands. I chose it to increase your ability to adapt to change. It opens you creatively in the ability to spontaneously respond to any situation. And for those of you who have been doing the Inner Critic series, and actually, I meant to mention this at the beginning of the class, this series builds cumulatively, and you need to have done all the other classes before you do this class. So we've all been on this journey together, and you know from connecting with your inner critic over the last 5 weeks, I think this is the 6th week now, that when you are connecting with your inner critic and when you're having awareness of your inner critic and you're befriending your inner critic and you're bringing acceptance to your inner critic and you're making choices and asking the question, is that true? There is a huge amount of creativity, and you do have to have this ability to spontaneously almost like pivot all the time with your inner critic. So it also connects you with your intuition. It increases your ability to adapt to changing circumstances. And I just thought that was really good for discerning your trickster of an inner critic, because that inner critic is just constantly pivoting. So I thought this mudra worked well for that. This mudra is contraindicated for pregnancy. So if you're pregnant, then drop the mudra and just rest your hands on your lap. So close your eyes, stay with this mudra, and allow yourself to receive the teachings for this class. Today's class is about discernment. As I said, it's about noticing the layers and going deeper. With discernment, you're going to learn to take a step back. And just like last week, on our membership site, we had so much deep discussion. We did go deeper. We did peel back the layers. And again, I have to credit our members with providing me so much rich content for today's class and for giving me permission to use their stories and their words in today's teachings. So Eva from our membership explains discernment between herself and her inner critic. And she says, to me, the most difficult thing is to separate my inner critic from myself. And by this, she means to bring awareness to this voice. When I do that, I try not to identify with it. I love this class because I have discovered that I didn't listen to my inner critic at all while doing yoga. I just thought it was the truth. And this is the crux of discernment. Instead of identifying with your inner critic, you have the opportunity to detach. Instead of believing it is you, that you are a perfectionist, that you're too hard on yourself, that you're too ready to please, or that you have too many rules, you can take a step back and recognize that that is your inner critic. This is discernment. When you practice discernment, you take a step back and realize it's not me who's critical of myself. It is my inner critic. You can come back to your attitude of befriending your inner critic and find out what causes your inner critic to feel anxious, vulnerable, and upset. Carrie, one of our other members who gave me permission to use her story, she really got this. She said, what stood out for me in this class, and that was the class on accepting your inner critic, was thinking about our inner critic being terrified that we might be seen as not kind enough or not pretty enough or not generous enough or whatever it had focused on. When I really sat with that thought, my heart just melted with love for my poor, terrified inner critic. Through discernment, we detach and alleviate the anxiety of the inner critic. Paige from our membership site said, while I was practicing this class, and that was Namaste Yoga 278, my sankalp for the duration of the series came to me. And I think this is brilliant because she didn't know anything about discernment coming yet. So it's been amazing to watch all of you kind of project the themes that are coming. She said, I will learn to hear and discern my inner critic, recognize her message, and determine if there is any wisdom in it for me. I've realized that I don't always recognize my inner critic. It's easier to accept that she wants me to be okay, loved, accepted, and well thought of. So when you practice this level of discernment, like Paige, you're able to step back with awareness, acceptance, and loving kindness and make a different choice about the truth of your situation. You're able to see how your stressed out, anxious, vulnerable, and upset critic is just trying to keep you safe. And like a parent with a child having a temper tantrum, you're able to authoritatively make a better choice for yourself. With discernment, when you go deeper and see the truth behind your inner critic, you may start to see the inner critic is as less judgmental. And you may be able to discern the difference between you and your inner critic. Okay. So let's go ahead and start to make our way up to standing. Okay, from here, you're going to place your feet underneath your hip bones, your iliac crest, lengthen up through your spine. Take your hands and interlace them behind you. Draw your shoulder blades together and slide them down your back. And then you can start to lift your chest up towards the ceiling, up towards the sky. And you can also start to lift your arms away from your back. So that you're opening up your chest, doing a back bend here. And ask yourself, how can I open to my inner critic with discernment? I'm going to go ahead and let this posture out of your body. Bend your knees, roll your pelvis over your leg bones, and fold forward. And then ask yourself, how can I fold into my inner critic with discernment? And then slowly make your way up to standing. And, one thing that's been coming up is that with a class like this with lots of questions, sometimes what the members have been saying is that they're struggling with the questions. And I know from my experience when I did my Phoenix Rising training that when I would do these classes, because when we trained, we would do classes, we would deliver classes, we would receive classes. Sometimes the questions would kind of just kind of float over me. It would seem like there were a lot of questions coming and they wouldn't really resonate. And then all of a sudden one would just land and there would be a huge amount of resonance in my life. And then what I would do is I might spend a lot of time thinking about it, or I might even stop and write something down in my journal and journal more about it later. But the nice thing when you have a video class is you can pause, write it down in your journal, spend some time journaling about it then, or you could just write a quick note about it in your journal and come back to it after class and journal about it more later. Okay. So, and we're actually having a meetup this week for our members, and we're going to talk a lot more about yoga journaling then. Okay, so you're going to take your feet wide, turn your toes out to 10 and 2 o'clock, bend your knees, you're going to sit straight down, and you're going to bring both your arms up like this arm, and you're going to tune into what's happening in your body. And ask yourself, what's the something more that's revealing itself to you about your inner critic? And then lengthen up through your legs and release, shake it out. And from here, we're going to make our way back down onto your mat. And here's where your bolster is going to come in handy. So lie your bolster lengthwise so that you're going to be lying down on it with your spine. Put your blocks out to the side. So your bolster is going to put you into a back bend here. Or you could roll up a blanket or a sleeping bag or a towel. Place the soles of your feet together. And then you're going to lie back onto the bolster. And here, ask yourself, what are the subtle qualities of my experience with my inner critic? And then draw your knees back towards each other, roll to your side, come up to seated, and keep your legs in this position. You could even take your bolster from here and bring it in front of you, rest them on your feet, and you're going to hinge forward here over your bent legs. And ask yourself here, what are the subtle qualities of my experience with my inner critic? And then from here, you're going to take your legs wide. Actually, I'm going to stay facing the way I am because it's a downward slope, which will help me with my forward fold. And I would encourage you to do that as well, or to sit up on a folded blanket so that you can have your hips rolling forward a little bit. Okay, take your legs wide, lengthen up through your spine, roll your pelvis over your leg bones. First, you're going to turn towards your right leg, and you're going to fold forward over that leg. It can help to press up from behind too. And on this side, ask yourself, to what extent can I notice the layers of my experience with my inner critic? And then come up to the center, come back center and turn to the other side. Lift up from behind, fold forward. Just notice what's different on this side. So you may notice when you go to the left that there's an island behind us. That's different on this side. That's Trial Island. And yesterday there were a pod of transient orca whales that went in front of that island because there was a lot of seals that live on Trial Island, and they're very tasty for the orcas. I think you have it bad with your inner critic. It's nothing compared to seal's life when the orcas go by. It's all about perspective. See? Discernment. You thought you were on the bottom of the food chain with your inner critic. You're really not. Okay, and come back to the center. Fold forward. And ask yourself, to what extent can I notice the difference between my unique experience with my inner critic and relate it to the rest of my life? Then slowly make your way back up to seated. And you can go ahead and lie down on your back for Shavasana, for corpse pose. Oops. And you can stay here and rest to allow yourself to integrate and receive this class. I'm going to sit up and read you an excerpt on discernment now. Okay, this is a quote from Elizabeth Massey. And she says, "Sometimes my boat drifts to deeper waters, waters to which I have been called. I look back to the shore, but I also want to know more about myself, about life. As I hold steady the oars, I row in a direction of my inner guidance, steady and aware of my body and breath. From here, I can see the ripple effect on the water and also deep within me. I notice the layers one by one and their connection to this deep pool of water I call myself." Gradually allow your breath to deepen and start to wiggle and stretch out. Bend your knees, roll to your right side. Pause and take a moment there. I think you're lying on your side. If I told you we'd stop this, there are so many planes flying overhead today, we've probably stopped this. We've probably had at least 50 cuts for planes today in this episode. I'm not lying. So if I seem a little unfocused, that's why. I think you're lying on your side, so make your way up to seated. And we're going to finish by gathering in all the benefits of our practice. We draw them into ourselves and then we offer them out into the world with the Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. So your left palm's up, your right palm's down. Let's make space with breath and a sigh. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom for all. So thank you so much for joining us. If you like today's show, then be sure to subscribe to our channel and give today's class a thumbs up. You can subscribe right here. And you can, if you are benefiting from receiving the tools of how to deal with your inner critic through this amazing series, then you could consider also giving a donation as well. And if that's not a possibility for you right now, then you can also give back by subscribing and liking and leaving your comments below. So you can show your appreciation that way as well. Today's comment. I forgot to put a comment, but I have something that I would love for your feedback on, and that is, after we finish up this Inner Critic series, because there's 2 more after this, what would you like to see next in the Namaste land? What would you like the next series to be about? I have an idea of what I would like to do based on a couple of surveys that we've done, based on some feedback that people have been saying their biggest problems are, their biggest obstacles to focusing, I think I've dropped the hint there. You guys can figure out what it is. Their biggest obstacle to practicing is. You can guess what it's going to be now too. You can guess and you can leave your request. It slipped out. Okay, so if you want more support in going deeper with discernment and have even more classes to support you in your inner critic journey, then Ivy, who does a devotional thread on our membership site, she's been putting a series of companion videos together for this inner critic series, and her second video in the series on acceptance and discernment is a perfect sidekick for this week's class, and I'll link to it in the show notes. Also, if you want some clarity to be able to discern, then one of our brand new videos from the leading edge research of the postures and pranayams section on skull shining breath will help to clear the cobwebs to help you to be able to discern more. Also, from the very innovative research in the postures and pranayams section, the Gyan Mudra will give you the wisdom to discern as well. So all of those are great resources in the membership site that I will link to in the show notes below. So I'm sending you much love from beautiful British Columbia. May you experience the strength of our mountains. May you be as grounded as the trees in our forest. And may your joy be as deep as our Pacific Ocean. Om Shanti. Namaste.
Melissa would love to hear your questions and thoughts. Please leave your comments below the video. Thank you for your reviews on iTunes and YouTube. Your reviews help us to share yoga and a yoga lifestyle with others around the world. If you have a question for Melissa, you can leave a voice message at melissawest.com, and Melissa may answer it in an upcoming blog.